The possibility of developing the skills that you may not know you have really can be brought to fruition attending an HBCU. This is what Xavier is all about. You came here for that purpose.
From the Office of Institutional Advancement and Alumni Relations, it's Xavier Gold Live, the podcast, bringing you stories of leadership, impact, and the Xavier spirit. What's new, XU? I'm TaShia Hogue.
And I'm Jalen Jones. We're both student journalists from Xavier's Mass Communications Department and are excited to bring you a podcast where we connect with our Xavier community through conversation.
In each episode, we bring you intimate interviews with standout alumni who will give us a glimpse into their unique Xavier experience.
Join us May 8th at the Hyatt Regency New Orleans for Xavier University of Louisiana's Centennial Gala, presented by Ochsner Health. It's an evening honoring 100 years of legacy, community, and transformation. Our goal? To raise $1 million for scholarships, celebrating the past, uplifting the future, together at Xavier's Centennial Gala. To secure a sponsorship or a table, call 504-520-7575 or email cfr@xula.edu.
Happy New Year, Xavier Rights! We hope you had a blessed holiday. We are so anxious, yet excited to get into the new year of 2025.
It's around that time when we often see resolutions, fresh starts, and maybe even a renewal of expired gym memberships. And we can't forget the same old phrase, new year, new me. Traditionally, I set some ambitious or unrealistic New Year resolutions.
True.
But this year, I've decided to choose a word. My word for 2025 is action. This year, I'm focused on turning ideas into reality and pressing forward with purpose.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there. Can't go wrong with that. I think my word for the new year would be confidence. Because I'm walking confidently in faith, confident in who I am, and at this point I need to be confident in every choice I make.
Definitely. Confidence and action go hand in hand. As we take those steps into the new year, we also find ourselves celebrating 100 years of educational excellence, leadership, and service within the community here at Xavier.
With it being Xavier's Centennial, there are so many events to be on the lookout for this year. To kick off this year, we'll be connecting with Dr. Rosalind Pijeaux Hale, a 1969 alumna who is an outstanding advocate for education. Her 49 years of service speaks volumes to the impact she's had on various communities, including Xavier. Dr. Hale was previously awarded Alumna of the Year in 2019 and retired as Professor Emerita in Xavier's Division of Education and Counseling. Although she stepped away from the classroom, her passion for service keeps her pressing forward. In the former role of president of Xavier's Montgomery Alumni Chair, she committed her life to promoting higher education and preserving that Xavier spirit.
Drawing on her connections and expertise, Dr. Hale has secured millions in grants to support school leadership development and enhance mathematics and science education. So, without further ado, let's jump into this episode with TaShia and Dr. Hale.
Thank you for this experience. I'm very, very excited about it.
Dr. Hale, we just love to give you your flowers, figuratively, by informing our listeners on just how impactful you are. You currently serve as the co-chair for the National Alumni Association's Endowed Centennial Scholarship that fuels the mission of St. Catherine Drexel in the years to come. Now, we know that this scholarship is dedicated to Sister Monica Loughlin. Can you please just give us some insight on to who she was and her impact at Xavier and why she's deserving of this scholarship in her name?
That is such a wonderful question. And usually when you have an endowed scholarship, you wonder about that named individual. Sister Monica Loughlin was a dedicated member of the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament and espoused to continue the message of St. Catherine through her works all across the United States. And as she continued that effort at Xavier, her dedication was very, very clear to all of us. One of my fondest memories of her is working with her on the daily meditations that we started for faculty, and to see that we were continuing that message of St. Catherine just through our spiritual awareness and sharing with others was really meaningful. And as she created that kind of atmosphere across the campus, it allowed us to see our mission through St. Catherine's message with working with students. And so the Endowed Scholarship from the Alumni Association to be named in her honor, to me, has that very special meaning from us as alumni.
What led you to take on this role after retiring? When I think of retirement, I'm thinking, you kicking your feet up, you could do what you want when you want. What led you to take on this leadership role, and what can you share with us about the progression of the scholarship?
One of the things that was the impetus for this is because I realized that so many of the young alumni are full-time workers. They're in their early parts of their careers. And I think as those of us do mature and go on to official retirement, that it is up to us to let young alumni see that we are still there and we can still be of service when needed. So when this discussion came about, what we could do to help in the Centennial campaign to really be a first. We were a first in developing something towards the Centennial gifts. We thought about a scholarship, and with Dr. James Pascal and I, we just brought the idea forward. Well, why not start the scholarship now? It was in 2020, and we could really have individuals to pledge for 5 years and get at least $1 million. And I'm very proud to say that we have reached not just $1 million, but over $1 million before the 2025 deadline. So I believe if you don't ask, then the answer is an automatic no. So you need to give that person the option of saying yes. And the majority of the time, the individuals do say yes. And so many alumni related to Sister Monica Laughlin. So it was not a hard effort we had to do to get everyone involved in this campaign.
And that just speaks to how closed mouths don't get fed. I know that was probably a proud moment for you to really help within the Xavier community. Could you share any other proud moments that you've had helping your community, specifically in producing educational leaders?
Well, a couple of things, if it's okay. First thing is we developed a community outreach center at Xavier. I am so proud of that building. I'm proud that it was created with the community input, and it came about because we had initially started that effort by a donation from Allstate Insurance of a house off of Elysian Fields. They had built an office there and had promised the community that they would leave a building for community support. And by donating that building to Xavier, we started with community input there, even though it was far from the Xavier campus, asking the community what it needed and developing the programming with our teachers and counselors at that facility. Before we even opened the facility, Hurricane Katrina came. And so we were very fortunate that from that devastating event, we were able to secure a location on campus, which was in the Gertown area, to develop a similar facility. We used the same procedure. We included the community. They came in, we had surveys, and we built that community for that part of the campus that was across the canal there in the Gertown community. So I'm really, really proud of that. And I think one of the other things I'm especially proud of is the effort that we put forth to begin our own doctorate in education. It's a doctorate in educational leadership, but the focus is on whatever the student comes in and has as a career in mind. An individual who is working for a nonprofit, an individual who wants to be a superintendent, an individual who wants to work with their church, but wants that additional education to help them to be the best leader that he or she can be. So I'm really proud that we developed that doctorate in educational leadership. The second doctorate on campus, because pharmacy was it for all of those years. So those are a couple of things. And I know we we are time limited, but I could go on and on.
Oh, no limit at all. That just speaks to Xavier's ability to progress, not only through time, but meeting students where they are. How did your role as teacher as well as school administrator shape your approach to educational leadership in higher education?
The idea of being an educational leader is something that is only an idea until you really focus on getting the proper education, the proper training, the proper experiences to help you to be the best that you can be. And as a classroom teacher, I will have to admit that I never saw myself as an educational leader, as someone working in the school or even in the school district or even at a university campus. But there were individuals around me who I would say tapped me, and I think that's what has molded me to be the kind of person I am today, and said, Miss Hale, why don't you try to lead this workshop? Miss Hale, you really have good classroom management. You never send a student to the office. I'd like you to do a classroom management workshop. I was fortunate to get grants to fund me to continue taking courses, which never I imagined going for a doctorate, but I was taking all of these courses and learning a lot about technology, and a professor said, why don't you go on for your doctorate? You have these skills. And so I think when you see other people saying they see things in you, then that motivates you to even be better and better. So I finally saw myself as possibly being able to lead a school and then to work at a university campus. And one of the things that really touched me in my heart when I did get the opportunity to even apply for a position on a university campus was realizing that not only I did not have African American educator during my coursework after I finished Xavier, I had only one woman. So if I didn't have a black educator and I only had one woman, that meant I didn't even see a black female doing that. And so I said, well, maybe I need to be that person to be out there, and I might be able to motivate someone else. So that has molded me to be the person that I am. I talk a lot. I tap people on the shoulder. I say, what do you want to do? How are you doing? How are your classes going? And at 76, I'm blessed and I'm pleased to be able to continue to do that. I hope I can do it for a couple more years as well.
Absolutely. And it's all about that community that you have around you, surrounding you, supporting you, lifting you up, and really seeking out that potential and making sure that you see that potential that they see in you. And I just feel that you really became that change that you wanted to see, as you said. Like, you didn't have people of color, let alone women. Now you're that impact that we see as that representation. In that role of being that person tapping, students, making sure that they're encouraged and motivated, did you find it challenging to navigate through spaces that might have lacked academic motivation? And how did you combat these obstacles?
When I hear, especially African-American women say, I didn't have to do that. This was easy for me. I say, were they in La La Land? What happened in their lives? Because there were so many challenges. I remember going for my master's because my major at Xavier was mathematics and physics. And so I say I was one of the hidden figures, if you've seen that movie. No one suggested to me in 1969, apply to NASA, apply to wherever, but I'm very pleased that I did go into education, and my background helped me so much to be the kind of teacher that I became. But I remember going into a class the spring semester. Now, this is my master's program, and I was told that although I had a degree in math, I still needed 12 hours of teaching mathematics at the master's level to be certified. So that was in January, so I had to get in this course, which was the second semester, like you say, algebra and algebra 2 or something. And when I walked in, the students, who were all white, looked and said, what, you're coming in now? Oh, goodness, we had a hard time the first semester. We don't know how you're going to make it this second semester. And I politely said, well, you don't know me. Xavier prepared me to say, you can do this. And then when I got hired at the University of South Alabama, my entire office display was Xavier paraphernalia. And a faculty member walked in and said, well, you realize you're on a college campus, so you're not recruiting. It's not like you're at a high school where you would be recruiting. And I responded, But this is why I'm here. Xavier prepared me to be in this mix with all of you. And so, yes, there were many, many challenges that I faced, and especially when I got into those positions at the university level, being the only Black woman, the only chair, going into a meeting with all males and wanting to speak and making comments and talking about issues. And so navigating is not easy. And again, that's why I see the need for more African American Black women to be there to help those who are coming behind us, and especially willing to share, not to say, oh, that was easy, I went through it, but to be able to acknowledge it was not easy at certain times, but I made it through because of XYZ.
A part of you had to always known that you wanted to have a hand in the development of students' education. As you said, you got your degree in mathematics and physics. Looking back on your career, what would you say are 3 factors that helped guide your continued success on the journey to retirement? Because you didn't just stop at high school assistant principal or head chair of the department.
Well, I would say the first would have to be my faith. And that's another reason that I really, Xavier just helped me to develop my understanding of my faith. When I was at Xavier, we had a religion course every semester. So if you add 3 hours, that's 6 hours a year times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. So when we finished, we really had a minor in religion. And I believe that faith was, I don't want to say molded. I was always a Catholic, always under Catholic understanding, but helped me to better understand my personal faith. So faith would be number 1. Number 2 would have to be family. My mother, my stepdad, my brother and sister, we all knew that the expectation from our parents was to get the best education possible. We knew it was going to be a struggle. My stepdad was a laborer. My mom was a homemaker. My brother supported me so much as I matriculated those years, and continues to this day to be a support in just making decisions. And then I would say the third thing would be, because of those first 2, I was able to then think before I made a decision. That thinking meant researching to make a good decision. It meant talking out some things with other people that might disagree with me, but to get that side of the equation so that I can make a good decision. So I would say those 3 things: my faith, family, and I would even go beyond family and support of friends, and then using those 2 with that education to make those good decisions. I would say those are the 3 things.
Yes, and I think those decisions have definitely paid off. Speaking of that success, you've been very successful in being that change that you want to see. During those golden years at Xavier, it's now time to reminisce and travel back in time. So it's the year of 1965, and the civil rights movement is in full swing. Not to mention that this is the year of the Voting Rights Act. It's just been signed into law by President Johnson. In the midst of Black history, you've decided to attend Xavier. What was your initial interaction with the HBCU that housed the Freedom Riders just 4 years before you arrived?
When I talked to students, especially when I was a high school assistant principal, I gave this scenario. When you attend a HBCU, you have the opportunity to develop your leadership skills among your peers. When you attend another institution, you don't have that opportunity. You don't know if you were selected because you're one of a few, or if you were really selected because of those skills you have. And so that's what Xavier allowed us in 1965 when we entered that campus to be able to do. I was mentioning just recently, I have 2 of my 4 class yearbooks. And in those 2, I was the class treasurer. One is my sophomore year and one is my senior year. So I need to go back into my freshman and my junior year to see if I was still the class class treasurer then. So I would not have thought I would do that coming from high school, okay? Being active in student government, being active in being a change agent on campus. I talked about the religion classes we were taking. Well, those of us and those of you now who are in the sciences know that that's a cramped schedule that you have with all of those major courses and everything. I remember us protesting, that's the right word, protesting that we had too many religion courses to take. And we did not attend the religion classes that particular day. We were out there protesting. And I'll never forget, Dr. Francis came to us and said, then why did you all come to a Catholic institution? And I mean, that ended the discussion right there. We made that choice to go to Xavier. So why try to change it? And I'm so glad that I had the experience to be able to voice that concern, but also to be able to get an understanding. This is what Xavier is all about. You came here for that purpose. I think Xavier let us bring that movement onto the campus. I don't know if I would have gotten that if I had gone to LSU, and so the possibility of developing the skills that you may not know you have really can be brought to fruition attending an HBCU, especially Xavier.
Especially Xavier, yes. We want you to recall maybe a pivotal memory from your undergrad experience at Xavier that remains vivid in your mind when reminiscing about the old days.
Well, there are a couple of things. One is that when I entered Xavier, it was like coming from my high school, McDonough 35, to another place where I could get to know everyone. Xavier was small. I had, I think, 125 about in my graduating class from McDonough 35. And going on Xavier's campus, it was about the same number of freshmen. So we got to know each other. We were able to call individuals because we know them by name all of those years. So being able to develop that family is very important. Now, Xavier is much larger now, but the family is still developed amongst the majors. And I'm really pleased to see that happens. You have meetings together, and also you have a lot of clubs that are offered on campus. Divine Nine is there, and so you have a lot of opportunities to develop that family atmosphere. And then the second thing that I think helped a lot for me going into Xavier and is just special again for our class, Dr. Francis had just been appointed the president, the first lay president in 1968. But he was appointed in June. So that meant that class had already graduated. So my class of 1969 is known as his first graduating class. And so we tout that all the time, that we're the first. And he knows many of our class members by name. Going back to Xavier and working there was, to me, that's like the ultimate of whatever you want to say, because I would have never thought that I would have had that opportunity to go back to Xavier, to retire there as a professor emeritus over, after so many years. And so just being able to become the person that I am today and to go back to Xavier and be able to work there, I think really would be something that is just remarkable for me, and I'll always cherish those memories.
And we would love to hear more about that time during your tenure at Xavier, because me coming in as a freshman, I didn't have too many people of color that were my professor. Later in my years attending Xavier, I've had more Black professors, but I know that had to be a full circle moment for you, being Professor Emeritus, being a professor that could represent a Black woman in a predominantly white male-dominated field. Just touch on those meaningful times during your tenure at Xavier.
I think that outside community, when we think of Xavier and HBCU, would definitely think that, you must have a lot of Black faculty there. And that is not the case. It is not the case. And that is why it is so important for this Centennial campaign. Really, it is. And I made that comment just a few minutes ago. It's not that Xavier does not want to have more faculty of color, more women of color. But when we graduate from colleges with our doctorates, we are sought out Because as I mentioned, then that university can say, oh, well, we have this, African-American female, especially if you're African-American female, you get them two ways. You're black and you're that woman, okay? But to offer a young, up-and-coming faculty member that amount of money, it's hard to say no. I might say I love my alma mater. I want to be there. But at this point in my career, I just can't do that. I've got to go over here to this other campus. And so if we can build up that endowment, we can have endowed professorships, then we can bring in those faculty members and keep them there. I will admit to you, it was a surprise to me when I was hired. And I went into a chairs meeting and I looked around and I said, well, where are the people of color? But I had to ask questions and I had to acknowledge there are needs that we have to make sure we meet so that Xavier can be that kind of campus that we want it to be. The other thing that I realized once I was on campus, that it didn't matter that I was in education. It didn't matter that I was the chair of the Division of Education and Counseling. What mattered was that I was visible on campus. So I knew a lot of majors. I knew biology majors. I knew chemistry majors. I knew pharmacy majors. I knew business. I knew accounting majors. I made my connections with those chairs and with those faculty members across the campus by serving on different committees so they felt comfortable enough to send a student to me to say, why don't you go talk to Dr. Hale about that? And I felt comfortable enough to open up and say, Dr. Hale, so-and-so, sure, come on. And I think that's what no matter where we are on a college campus, we have to acknowledge that we are there to represent. My first class that I taught had one black student when I started teaching in 1970, as well as when I started teaching at the University of South Alabama in 1991. I had one black student. So we have to be okay with who we are, and we have to acknowledge that we are there not just for students who are in our majors, but for those students across campus who may not see anyone like us where they are taking classes. Now, I acknowledge I don't expect everybody to be me, okay? I'm just me. And other individuals might say, well, no, I've had someone to say to me, that's not my role. And that's okay. But I feel that that is my role. I feel that that is why God placed me here. I have been able to be successful. I feel okay about myself. And I think that that is what I'm supposed to do when I'm around others, especially young people who are coming up in a world where they see so much negativity. They've got to be able to see, I can be what I want to be, even though there may be some obstacles surrounding me. And sometimes they are a mountain that you think you cannot even start to climb, okay? So just taking a step at a time. And I might be one step for someone. How blessed is that to be a step, for someone to be on your shoulder and you can help them? I could cry right now. I can't see anything better than to be of a service for somebody, to help them to move forward.
Celebrate XU Centennial with your Xavier family and friends on one of two extraordinary journeys. From June 28 to July 6, immerse yourself in Spain's vibrant culture and timeless heritage. Or from November 17 to 27, head to Rome, Italy to deepen your faith, savor authentic cuisine, and embrace centuries of tradition. Choose a European journey that speaks to your soul. For Spain, email Demetrius Sloan at dsloan3@xula.edu. And for Rome, contact Nanette Smith at nsmith11@xula.edu. Reserve your spot today.
Just that good Samaritan philosophy that you hold so near and dear through anything that you touch. It's why you're so impactful to many students I know who've attended Xavier, who've gone on to accomplish leadership roles. Can you call any star students?
Oh my goodness, when you talk about star students, now you know it's going to make somebody mad, but I'm going to just say it. Oh my goodness, I have sons, okay? So when I graded papers, I would put the first page with your name in the back. So let's say I'm grading 30 papers for that one class. I would put that first page with your name for all 30 papers. Then I would grade them because I did not want to show any bias, not just to a student, but to a young male, because I have 2 sons, and so I say I might be biased to young men, but I'm going to name these 2 young men. Okay, one is Lullowan, I think Robinson. I hope I'm remembering his last name. Lullowan is a high school band director. And I don't do much on Facebook, but when he graduated in music from Xavier, his goal was to be a band director, okay? Lullowan started the drum line at Xavier. Xavier had no band. It has no band, as far as I know, other than the symphonic, but no marching band. Lullowan started the drum corps. They marched in the parades. Okay, and for anything that was going on campus, Lullowan had that drum corps. It was just wonderful. Now I'm the chair of education, and so I observed faculty. I learned so much. I didn't know that students in music, you could say you were but your major was instrumental, but you also had to do vocal. I didn't know that until I started observing, and so to go into classes and observe and see my students doing what they were doing, it was just remarkable. And so when I went to see Lullowan do his senior performance and realized that he had all of these skills, I'm saying, oh my goodness, this young man is going to go far. So now seeing him on Facebook and posting all of these things with his students in the middle school marching in parades, and now he's at a high school. Oh my goodness, it's just, my heart just gets so full. So every now and then I'll just put, I'm so proud of you, or something like that. Sometimes he'll respond. The other one is a young man. His name is Dr. Kendall McManus Thomas. Ken Doctor, notice, okay. And he has just been appointed the principal at Benjamin Franklin High School. I just sent him a post and I said, remember, the same things you did at the elementary school, you can do at the high school. Because sometimes we think, we participated in this and, the little kids liked it, but the high school kids, they don't want that. But they do. And I would say that when I was teaching in the college, level, and talking about methods classes and being a leader. Don't think what you did at one level you can't do at another level. So those are 2 young men I'm so very proud of. And then the other, I'll mention one more. I can mention a lot of young ladies. We have a lot of young ladies, but one young lady is Dr. TaShia Porter Coleman, and I saw this young lady just grow up from undergraduates, masters, and getting a doctorate at Xavier. And I might be a little bit biased because she was math, okay, and I was math. But anyway, just seeing her and knowing that she's in a leadership position at a school, it just makes me feel just so wonderful. So knowing that I have students who it took them 8 years. Might have had a baby, left, came back, might have gone on to another school for a while, left and came back. And so just knowing that these young people came through our program, they are successful now. One thing I didn't mention, I did mention that you touch lives all over. So I've always been active in Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So I'm a proud Zeta Crystal Dove, we're called, if we have 50 or more years. Just seeing these young ladies, oh my goodness, I have so many who are pharmacists. Dr. Dawn Edwards is a pharmacist. Cece Chikwai is working on her degree to be a medical doctor. I have Gwen Hudson, Maria Bogage, just go on and on and on. So you just touch men and women by the way you interact in all of these different organizations. And so I just try to do that across the board. And I'm just so proud of all of these young people and just pray the best for them, that they continue. And I will tell you one thing and then I'll stop. See, I talk a lot. But anyway, when I see their children graduating high school, and I've just had, I think, my first one who's graduated from college. I can't believe. I said, where has time gone? Did I know you then? You were undergraduate? What is this? And I put recently on Facebook, I said, now I love this family and there's nothing they can do about it, So it's just the family goes both ways. I'll say it that way. It goes within the students themselves, but it also can go faculty to student or to advisor or however you want it to be. And it's as far as you want it to be. Again, this is not for everyone. It's for those who feel that it's part of their mission. And I do. I know people say, "Oh, Rosalind, what is wrong with you? Don't you know what retired means?" And I said, yes, but this is my definition of retirement, to give back.
And everybody has their own definition of what that might look like. And it's that love for service that I know keeps you motivated to keep giving and, pouring into people as you're getting poured in yourself through the service that you're doing. What impact would you say Xavier has had on your personal and professional journey?
Professionally, I believe that Xavier has provided me the confidence. I use that word quite frequently with Xavier, the confidence to go into those areas that may be challenging and not to avoid them, because we could easily avoid them and say, well, I'm fine where I am. Why don't I do X, Y, Z? So I believe Xavier really provided me with that confidence. Confidence comes through spirituality as well as through your education. Because remember, just like you mentioned, I did not have a lot of black faculty either at Xavier when I entered, but I had a lot of nuns. I had a lot of the religious there. I had a lot of priests there because, when we see a nun, we see a priest, sometimes we think they are religious, and that's what makes them who they are, and that's all they do. But the religious I had were my teachers. Okay, in physics and in mathematics, the chair was a nun. Having that confidence, I think, through spirituality as well as education helped me to maneuver into areas that might have been challenging for some others, more so than for me. I didn't say they weren't challenging. I just said might have been more challenging for others. And then personally, I believe Xavier provided me a way to grow my own personality. I believe I became more personable with people. I was more open. Through those education programs, that my courses, I'm saying, because remember, I was not an education major, but through my courses, I think that the manner in which the faculty taught at that time allowed collaboration. We had group work. It was very seldom we were doing things alone. And it could have been my major because I was in math and physics, but I believe that helped me personally to become a person who was more willing to speak out, more willing to share her opinion and listen to others, the opinions of others, and to develop that part of me, I think helped me tremendously as I continued on in my personal life as far as my professional life as well.
Yes, and that just speaks to Xavier's foundation of building that community that wants to see you go that extra mile and wants to see you press forward. Define what it means to promote a more just and humane society through education.
For me, it means to accept individuals for who they are. I remember teaching a course on cultural awareness to some high school students, primarily white high school students. And I asked the question, you're meeting me for the first time. What do I have to do to build trust in you to have trust in me? And they went down the list of things. And after they finished, I said, well, I disagree. I said, the fact that you're meeting me, you should trust me. I said, don't automatically start demanding things of me to build trust. So I believe that what St. Catherine Drexel was saying, continues to say to us, is we are to accept individuals for who they are, not put expectations above and beyond what any individual can meet, because we're putting something on them. We should accept them. Now, you may undo that trust, but I shouldn't have to have me to build it up, before I even to come and meet you personally. We say that about individuals in color. You're looking at me and you're trying to decide, am I white, black, whatever. I remember one of the students when I was a middle school principal, she asked me, what are you, black or white? And I said, does it matter? What does it matter as long as I am a human being? So I believe that's what St. Catherine is saying to us. And the other thing I think St. Catherine says to us, and through the Xavier education, is that we are bound to give back. The world is not made to always take. We are supposed to give back, and that is what is meant by a just and humane society. I may go overboard as far as some people are saying or think when they see me and look at my little list of things that I have to do, but I feel like that is what I am supposed to do. And I said, if anyone says anything about me when I'm gone, just say she was happy and she built a purposeful life and followed what St. Catherine Drexel espoused to in the Sisters of Blessed Sacrament as well through attending Xavier. Now, would I have this? A good question is, would I have this same mode of operation had I not attended Xavier? And I would have to say no. I would have to say we live through the experiences we've had. I don't know what my life would be like if I had not had the blessed opportunity to attend Xavier University of Louisiana during the time period that I attended. And as I said, although 55 years, sometimes I wonder, what can I say or do for a freshman now? Look how long ago I attended Xavier. And all I can do is hope that I'm saying something that will be meaningful to them. I don't try to go over, we wore little beanies, we went, no, whatever is happening now, I just try to share what I think is comparable, to what a student might be experiencing now. At some point in time, they may push me on the side and say, we don't need Dr. Hale anymore, and that'll be okay. But for now, I hope that I am doing the right thing. At least I'm giving anyone that I come in contact with the impression that I'm out here trying to do the right thing and not just be holding space, if that makes sense. I don't want to just be holding space.
And I don't think you are, because you've been very impactful. What are your hopes for Xavier's future as it continues to carry out St. Catherine Drexel's mission?
I hope that the press forward, fear nothing continues. I love that. I'm very grateful to see that the entire quote from St. Catherine Drexel is even being shown now. I think that says what Xavier is all about. I want to see Xavier continue to focus on meeting the needs of the marginalized in the community. We don't need to be up there and say, oh, this, that, and the other. We need to continue to say, this is the mission of Xavier, the mission that St. Catherine Drexel and the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament said when it was brought to fruition to have a college campus. Remember, it was a high school. High school was all that was needed. You could go out and teach. I don't know if students realize that. There were teachers out there and from the high school, but they saw, oh no, we've got to go more than this. We've got to have this college campus. How many people know business, education, pharmacy? That's where Xavier was. Think of what those three things mean. Education, you need that to go on. Business, you need to know how to manage whatever you have, whatever little you have. And then pharmacy, to be able to take care of yourself. And so I hope and pray that Xavier, I'm not even worried. Let me backtrack. I am claiming this. I am claiming that Xavier will continue to be the epitome of campuses out there serving the community and especially the marginalized part of the community. That's what I see in the future, and that's what I believe will continue. And it will, with the alumni and with those around us, those corporations, those companies, those businesses that really see that Xavier is making an impact.
Well, now it's time to rush our gold guests into answering some rapid fire questions. This segment of the podcast is called the Live 5. We'll ask you 5 questions I think our gold community would love to know. So let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
What was your favorite student organization?
The Legion of Mary. Now, if you want to talk about across the community too, yes, that would be Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
What is an item that you can't teach without?
Your desire. You have to want to do it.
It's the weekend and nothing is in the fridge. Where is your dinner coming from?
Olive Garden.
Where was your go-to study spot on campus?
Student Center. And can I give a plus to that to say the barn? The barn was the place to be.
And then red beans and rice or jambalaya?
Oh, it's got to be red beans and rice. Yes, because you can have any side with red beans and rice.
Well, that wraps up our Live 5 segment. Dr. Hale, it was a pleasure connecting with you again. Outstanding alumni through conversation. Tell our growing gold community how they can connect with you online.
Right now, I use that Pijeaux, my maiden name. So it's RPIJEAUX@gmail.com. Please, especially my students, my friends, send me an email. Shout out and say, Dr. Hale, how come you didn't call my name? You know you love me. And just know that my head, not my heart. You know, my heart is there, okay? But the mind, I'm trying to remember, and there were too many names, but I named some. RPIJEAUX@gmail.com. But let me say this. Those of you who know me, you already got that number. I could say my phone number. I don't need to say it because you got it in your cell phones. Love you all.
Thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you. This has been inspirational. I'll put it that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the Xavier Gold Live podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Now, XU, you know what to do. Join our growing gold community on the first Tuesday of every month.
This podcast is available to listen to wherever you listen to your podcast. Do us a favor by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show today. Make sure to also follow us on social media and subscribe to our monthly newsletter.
This is Xavier Gold Live, the podcast where Xavier's legacy comes to life.